I would like to now invite Mr. Rajiv Ranjan Mishra. Mr. Rajiv Ranjan Mishra is Chief Advisor and Chairman of Strategy and Policy Unit at the National Institute of Urban Affairs in India, and additionally is an advisor to the Center for Ganga River Basin Management and Studies at the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur. He recently retired from his position as Director General for the National Mission of Clean Ganga, during which he transformed the Namami Gange program into an integrated, multi sectoral model for river rejuvenation in India. In 2021, Mr. Mishra was bestowed with the Annual Research Award from IIT Roorkee for his work on rejuvenation of the river Ganga. He has published several articles, papers, and opinion columns, and worked as editor and contributor on managing urban rivers from planning to practice. A set of articles by national and international experts being published by Helvetia. And so I invite Mr. Rajiv Ranjan to please.
Thank you, all respected delegates and colleagues on the dais, especially the different chapters of Intech who are here. When I was told about such a convention, I was really excited because this is a great opportunity for us to really share some of the thoughts, and through you, perhaps we can take out these kind of work to many more areas in India than perhaps was limited in Ganga Basin. My job has been made very easy by Mr. Manu Bhatnagar because he has already told so much about Ganga. So I don't have to really tell you much about the beauty of the river. But I have few slides. I will just quickly go through this particular quote. Water is in its loveliest form. My colleague from Devasriji is going to perhaps talk more about water. I will be focusing more on the river because river is also water, but river is water plus 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 several things. So it's a very important that we understand rivers. I mean, in this gathering, it may look a very rudimentary thing that do we know river, but yes, as you see from the presentation of Mr. Bhatnagar, we know river as water, as hydrology, but river has many facets. So I think that was one of the motivation which we perhaps took it in the Namami Gange program. And can it become a template for other rivers? That's the question. That's my motivation to come here and talk to you, so that even few chapters take it up seriously and start working on that. Perhaps we should be very happy. I mean, these are some of the moods of the river, different aspects of the river. I think Vatnagar Sahab talked about the wetland. This is also one of the wetland. Recently, it became Ramsar site also. Haidarpur, not very far from Delhi. Excellent place for migratory birds and several other things. This is a kind of view of river at Haridwar from the top view. So we called it God's view of Ganga. So you can have a look at that. This is again, river as a waterway. I think it has so much of potential, and right from historical days, this has been going on. Now, a little bit about the state of the river. Way back, I think Eliot wrote this about very poetically wrote, but it summarizes what happens to the river. A strong brown god, river is God. We all call it God, Mother Ganga. All rivers, they have a kind of divinity attached with them and importance attached with them. But slowly, I mean, there's in this poem there is a lot of characteristic of the river. But once problem solved, the brown god is almost forgotten. I think that's the challenge. We are turning our back to the rivers. And that should not happen. I think all of us jointly, we have to struggle for that, we have to fight for that. By the dwellers in the city, ever, however implacable, keeping his season, rages, destroyer, reminder. So what men chose to forget. I think this is the problem. I think as we grow, as we go rich in technology, as we go more prosperous, perhaps we start losing the interest in the river. And that's the problem. And now you see the Central Pollution Control Board has identified there are 351 polluted river stretches in the country. Though I am going to show you more pictures of Ganga, you will be happy they have also prioritized these stretches in the most polluted is category 1 and least polluted is category 5. At present, I think some of the stretches of Ganga river are coming in priority 5. So I think we have certainly made some progress, but again, this is only based upon BOD. There are several other factors to judge a river or to know about the health of the river. I won't go into that kind of discussion, as I think that the clock is just before me, so one has to really rush through some of the things. But this is again another aspect of the river, and that is where perhaps the motivation came to be holistic. River does not exist in isolation. You cannot understand the river and rejuvenate a river if you only look at the main flow of the river. He talked about tributaries, wetland, floodplain. So there are several elements of the river, and we have to understand all of them. And I could see this quote from Sudipta Sen. He is a historian in University of California. But this quote, in a very lyrical way, tells us about all the ecosystem of the river. The river as a clearly defined object with a beginning, a middle, and an end. After all, a human fabrication. As a natural phenomena, it is part of the Earth's water cycle, the endless succession of clouds, rain, snow, and glacial melt that merges into other rivers, tributaries, distributaries, lakes, ocean. So I think we have to take this top view of the river and entire ecology. Perhaps then we will be able to do that. Again, I will not get too much into the details of Namami Gange, but the idea is this holistic approach was attempted in this mission. I think we looked at one aspect of the intervention will be basically upon cleaning part, Nirmal Ganga. But we have to go beyond cleaning. We are talking about rejuvenation. So just cleaning is not enough. So talking about ecology, flow, and bringing people in the whole discourse. So connecting with people. And to do all this, you will have to have a lot of partners. I think Dr. Khosla very rightly told about partnership. Without partnership, such kind of work cannot happen. And this is what perhaps is showing that you have to also do it fast, because not only in Ganga, all rivers, we have lost a lot of time. We have made them so dirty. And the way our population is increasing, the way we are creating cleaning infrastructure, I mean, that pace has to pick up. We tried to pick it up in Ganga, and you can also see the results. So doing it fast becomes very important, where a lot of policy support, lot of delegation, lot of managerial things happened, which made it possible. The utilization of funds also increased. I will not again get into the details of these data. Here in this slide, I am only going to tell to do things fast is one, but do things better is also important. What you do by way of infrastructure must exist, must keep on operating, must keep on performing well. That is where we brought certain new concepts of hybrid annuity, PPP, long-term O&M, and also reuse of water. So I think the whole cycle of water started showing result, and you could see some of the perceptible difference in the river. The first photo is that of Sisamo drain, that's in Kanpur. I think I picked up this photo because this is very iconic. This is symbolic of Ganga pollution. 140 million liters per day, sewage used to flow like a waterfall, or sewage waterfall, you can say, and that has transformed. The Kumbh also, I think, perhaps gave a confidence to people that yes, water quality can be improved. Going beyond cleaning, I have been telling about it. Again, a lot of work has been told by Mr. Bhatnagar. You have to look at in entirety. You have to increase flow. It's not easy. You have to improve. So we did ecological flow notification, that's one. But you have to also look at improving wetlands. And one or two wetlands here and there will not work, because Ganga has thousands and thousands of wetland in this basin. So you have to work. So we started some of the projects with UP and Bihar, where all along Ganga, 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer area, all the floodplain wetlands started. So I think you have to look at in priority, because in your area also there will be a lot of wetland. Look at floodplain wetland and urban wetland, because they are in the maximum danger. And then river is not only for human beings. River is for everyone. So you have to take care of aquatic life, fish, and I think keep the river in that kind of situation. And I cannot name all the institutions, but several institutions are partners in this exercise. Some of them I have mentioned. River and island has been mentioned. So towards end of that project, which Intech has been doing, we also started thinking about doing a kind of more intensive study on the river islands. Apart from an act in Bengal in 1847 and 1825, a guideline, I don't think we have many revenue acts looking at the riverine islands. Though revenue acts look at them, I myself come from Andhra Pradesh cadre, United Andhra Pradesh, now I am in Telangana. I saw several islands in Godavari. So I think this is again something perhaps different chapters can also look at, that what happens to them. They are important ecology. They have lot of agricultural use. They also can be very good ecotourism places. Some of them are also very close to city. So I think they are also in the danger of getting into the expansion of the city. So I think this is something where perhaps we have lot to do, and perhaps take it up. Again, managing urban rivers. I have divided one thing in the basin level thinking, but you have to also act at the city. You have to look at the urban rivers, and then we are trying to develop a whole new paradigm, tools, and institutions to join, because ambience, amenity, and aesthetics. I think this is what rivers bring to the city, and we try to damage them. Free flowing, otherwise cities are rigid, constructed area. This is the corridor of nature. So I think this quote again brings lot of factors which we are doing it. And as I told you, as I shared the thought of Mr. Sudipta Sen about water cycle, perhaps the water cycle concept is very important for the city, and especially from the point of view of climate change also, because cities are, I mean, we are seeing what is happening in Bangalore. So I think looking at the urban wetlands, lakes, ponds, conserving them becomes very, very important for us to look at here. And this, perhaps I don't have to tell you much, because the whole presentation came and time was not enough for Mr. Bhatnagar to complete. But this is what the project we gave to Intech, and then you see the volumes of report and the wealth of information which has come, which can lead to several projects. Then rivers are also basically cultural entity. We always think in terms of engineering, hydrology, ecology, geomorphology of the river and all those aspects, but river is also a cultural entity and social entity. So I think this is what is emerging, and we can use all this information, all these things with action. We can organize, I mean, the rivers have traditional festivals. Well, we also started organizing Ganga Utsav, later on Nadi Utsav, so that the younger generation can also get connected with these concepts. And I will just like to mention, I think Devasri is also here. Recently, Ministry of Jal Shakti also has taken up a task of identification of water heritage structure. The idea came from Intech, and there is a committee. So we are looking at, I think that's where all the chapters, we have written to the state governments, different chapters can actually help in identification. I think Mr. Bhatnagar will be coordinating with you. Largely man-made structures, water structures, more than 100 years old, and they should be really representative of past water tradition, antiquity, scale, visual approach, and then several other factors. So I think this is something, as a task is in progress, and I really solicit your support and your ideas and information, so that we can really start codifying the water structures, water heritage structures, maybe irrigation, maybe drinking water, maybe for different purpose, even rainwater harvesting structures, the old structures. Now this is again, I think I'm showing you some pictures where you can connect. These are some of the new ghats and the old ghats. But we can also engage with the artists, international as well as local artists, and some of these paintings. This giant turtle was done by a Mexican artist in Haridwar, that's Chandighat. Similarly, murals. I think a lot of these things we also did. Most of it was done with CSR money. Even if Namami Ganga was supporting it, we didn't spend much money from our side, but we brought all the stakeholders together, and some money, some sources also of funding came for such things. Again, this is something perhaps we can take up, because this again makes it look little different. If you keep a place dirty, people will make it more dirty. If you make it little more aesthetic, perhaps we will get more conservation efforts will be successful. Similarly, we have also started river communities. This particular thing you see, there is a whole lot of volunteers who have been created in this program. A study is also, TIS is doing a study on the riverside communities, the riparian communities. What were their traditions? What is there any relationship between change in the river health and then what is happening to these communities' occupation now? What they are doing? Some of these Ganga praharis also come from typical riverside communities. The Ganga praharis are trained by Wildlife Institute of India in biodiversity. The picture you see, they are actually running these kind of tourist boat. So they are also telling them about biodiversity, about river, and they are also earning some livelihood. Some of the things you see. So we started a lot of these things. SIFRI is for the fishermen, Central Inland Fishery Research Institute. So we are also having some program with them. And this, you see basically how you can reach out to the different clubs, different groups of people, that we had a kind of model in this. Ultimately, who owns Ganga or any river? It's basically people. but people are forgetting how to make them realize their responsibility. I think there was a last slide, perhaps you talked about the responsibilities. I think it will not come just like that. You need catalyst. So some of you can play that role and look at the local authorities for their help. And this is my last slide. Again, I am basically trying to capture right from beginning of the river till the Ganga Sagar. And the most important lesson the river teaches you, we will say we have to clean the river. River is always clean. It's the habitation along the river which are not clean. You have to clean them. So I think we have to change that mindset. Number one. Number two, when you will clean the river? Again, there is no answer. When you will complete a project, there can be a deadline. But to clean the river, you have to keep on working. Like we keep on cleaning our house every day. Similarly, you have to keep on working again and again, and maintain that. That can only happen when we respect our heritage and you connect them and reconnect them, and you have to find different ways to reconnect with different stakeholders. So I think that is something. River will always remain pure, and if you keep it pure, it will bring lot of good to you. And I think this is not too much to ask for. This is what I summarize some of these things in a book I wrote, and then this is the paragraph with which I am ending that book. I think this appeal I will again make to all of you who are here from different chapters, to look at the river. We need not look at a large river, a river in your district. Actually, the small rivers, we should start rejuvenating them. We should start connecting them. We should developing cultural and heritage identity of these small rivers, small water bodies. And then perhaps people will be willing to spend some time and resources to keep them preserved. Once again, thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. And I hope we will see better future for our rivers, our natural water bodies, and ecology. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ranjan, for keeping to time. I must congratulate you. You've been on the dot.
I was looking at that with my predecessors.
Anyway, thank you so much.